Blake Shelton isn't just a country music superstar. Behind the easy grin, the Oklahoma drawl, and the catchy hits lies a story of heartbreak, reinvention, and quiet triumph. Over 2 decades, he's been celebrated, scrutinized, and dissected by fans and tabloids alike. From his whirlwind romances with Miranda Lambert and Gwen Stefani, to his meteoric rise from a small-town boy to an international star, Shelton's life has been anything but ordinary. But what really sets him apart isn't the fame or the awards. It's how he's learned to redefine success on his own terms, proving that even after the toughest heartbreaks, the next chapter can be the most meaningful one. Blake Shelton's story begins far from the bright lights of Nashville or Hollywood. Born and raised in Ada, Oklahoma, a town of fewer than 20,000 people, Blake grew up surrounded by the rhythms of small-town life. His father worked as a used car salesman. His mother ran a beauty salon, and both instilled in him a deep sense of humility and a strong work ethic. Music was always a part of his world. Inspired by legends like George Strait and Conway Twitty, Blake picked up the guitar at a young age, writing his first songs by 16 and performing wherever he could, local fairs, family gatherings, even roadside bars. Dreams that big, though never come easy. Rejection was constant, and Blake juggled odd jobs while trying to get his demos into the hands of record executives. But there was something magnetic about him, a mix of persistence, charm, and raw talent that eventually paid off. By the early 2000s, that small-town boy from Ada was ready to step into a world that would change his life forever. Blake Shelton's big break came in 2001 with his debut single, Austin. Almost overnight, the kid from Ada shot to the top of the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, holding the #1 spot for 5 consecutive weeks. Fans were drawn to more than just his voice. There was a relatability to him, the way he could tell a story in a song that felt like it was pulled straight from real life. Throughout the 2000s, Shelton became a reliable hitmaker. Tracks like Some Beach, The Baby, and Old Red showcased his knack for blending humor, heartbreak, and everyday truths into music that spoke to people. He wasn't polished to perfection or manufactured by the industry. He was the everyman, a guy with a beer in one hand and a grin in the other. That authenticity resonated deeply, making him a household name and a steady presence in a country music world that was constantly shifting. As his career soared, the lines between Blake Shelton, the performer, and Blake Shelton, the man, began to blur in the public eye. Fans weren't just buying his music. They were invested in his life, curious about the heart behind the songs. And soon enough, that curiosity would focus on matters of the heart. In 2005, Blake Shelton met fellow country star Miranda Lambert during a CMT concert, and sparks flew immediately. The timing wasn't simple. Blake was married at the time, and Miranda was carving her own path as a rising star. But their chemistry was undeniable. Over the next few years, that connection deepened, and by 2011, they tied the knot in what many fans called country music's ultimate power couple. For a while, it seemed like a perfect match. They performed together, wrote songs together, and shared glimpses of their lives in interviews, embodying a fairy tale version of country love. Yet behind the scenes, the pressures of fame, constant touring, and relentless media attention began to take their toll. By 2015, after 4 years of marriage, Blake and Miranda filed for divorce, leaving fans shocked and tabloids spinning with speculation. For Blake, the split wasn't just heartbreak. It was a test of resilience under a public microscope. Every gesture was analyzed, every lyric dissected, and every interview scrutinized. But even in that turbulence, he demonstrated an ability to endure, to pick up the pieces, and to eventually open his heart again. Not long after his split from Miranda Lambert, Blake Shelton's life took another unexpected turn. On The Voice, where both served as coaches, he formed a bond with pop icon Gwen Stefani. Both had recently endured public breakups, and their shared experiences quickly became a foundation for something deeper. To the outside world, it was an unlikely pairing, the country boy from Oklahoma and the California rock star. But those close to them say it made perfect sense. Their romance quickly became one of the most talked about relationships in entertainment. Every smile, every duet, every public appearance was dissected by fans and media alike. But beneath the headlines, Blake found something he hadn't before: a partnership built on understanding, mutual respect and shared humor. In 2021, Blake and Gwen married on his Oklahoma ranch. The ceremony wasn't just a celebration of love, it was a merging of worlds. Gwen's 3 sons from her previous marriage became a central part of Blake's life, and he embraced the role of stepfather with the same dedication he brought to his career. For Blake, this quieter, family-centered chapter offered a different kind of fulfillment, a chance to step off the relentless treadmill of fame and truly enjoy life on his own terms. In 2023, after 23 seasons, Blake Shelton made a surprising announcement. He was leaving The Voice. For over a decade, he had been the show's cornerstone, the witty, lovable cowboy mentoring contestants with heart and honesty. But Blake wasn't walking away because of drama or declining ratings. He wanted to slow down, focus on what truly mattered, and reclaim time for himself and his family. "I'm tired," he admitted in an interview. "I miss simple things." Quiet mornings, being out in the woods, just living. Stepping away wasn't a retreat, it was a recalibration, a conscious choice to rediscover what made life meaningful beyond cameras and spotlights. Fans responded with admiration. In a world obsessed with constant visibility, Blake's decision to step back felt like a masterclass in maturity. He wasn't disappearing, he was evolving. His public image shifted from television personality to a man reconnecting with his roots, his creativity, and the slower, more authentic rhythms of life. Whether tending his ranch, strumming his guitar on the porch, or hosting local events, Blake found fulfillment in simplicity. A contrast to the relentless pace of his years on television, Blake Shelton's creativity didn't stop with music or television. It expanded into business and mentorship. One of his most notable ventures is Old Red, a restaurant and live music venue that started as a single bar in Oklahoma and has since grown into multiple locations. More than a business, Old Red became a cultural hub, giving up-and-coming country artists a platform Blake once dreamed of for himself. Music, too, evolved. His newer songs reflect reflection, gratitude, and love rather than heartbreak. Tracks like Nobody and Happy Anywhere showcase an artist writing from lived experience, no longer chasing trends but embracing authenticity. Blake also began exploring collaborations outside the country genre, opening new creative possibilities while staying true to his roots. Even beyond business and music, Shelton embraced mentorship and philanthropy. Through Old Red and other initiatives, he quietly supported emerging artists and community projects, bridging generations in country music. For Blake, success wasn't just about fame or profit. It was about creating spaces where culture, creativity, and connection could flourish. Today, Blake Shelton is far removed from the heartbroken cowboy tabloids once portrayed. He's a man in his late 40s, choosing authenticity over constant attention and measuring success by quieter standards. Time well spent, love well earned, and peace well kept. His reflections often circle back to gratitude, not the flashy kind seen in sound bites, but the deep appreciation that comes from surviving life's storms and realizing what truly matters. Even in this quieter rhythm, Blake's influence on country music remains undeniable. His tenure on The Voice introduced millions to the genre, bridging the gap between traditional Nashville sounds and mainstream audiences. His mentorship of aspiring artists became a masterclass in compassion, showing that teaching and guiding others could be just as impactful as chart-topping hits. Musically, his voice continues to be one of country's most distinctive, rich, weathered, and unpretentious. His recent work reflects maturity, acceptance, and gratitude, capturing the perspective of an artist no longer searching for validation, but creating for the joy of it. And while fans may still wonder about his love life or public persona, the Blake Shelton of today is defined less by relationships or headlines and more by the man he is becoming. Grounded, thoughtful, and intentionally living life on his own terms. Looking back, Blake Shelton's journey mirrors the themes of the songs he's sung for years: resilience, redemption, and the search for home. From a small-town boy with big dreams to a global superstar, he's endured heartbreak, scrutiny, and the relentless pace of fame, but he's emerged stronger, wiser, and more authentic than ever. The Blake Shelton of today isn't defined by tabloids, chart positions, or television ratings. He's a man who values family, creative freedom, and the simple joys of life. Quiet mornings on his ranch, songwriting sessions that feel like therapy, and spontaneous music with friends. His story isn't about the heartbreaks or the headlines. It's about healing, growth, and the quiet triumph of living life on your own terms. In a world obsessed with noise and spectacle, Shelton's evolution reminds us that sometimes the most powerful legacy is the one built quietly, with intention, gratitude, and authenticity. He's a storyteller we believe in, not because of fame, but because he's real. And for Blake, that has always been the truest success of all.